Good evening. I am your host, Stephen Ramey, and welcome to the Conquerall Mills Music Show, recorded at Conquerall Music on 88.7 Cove FM and online at covefm.com. Tonight, I will be featuring the music of Maxwell Cranford, singer, songwriter, and guitarist for the Barclay Sounds out of Ucluit, BC. Now let's go to the record floor for our show this evening. I would like to welcome our studio audience and those of you listening at home to the record floor of Conquerall Music for tonight's episode of the Conquerall Mills Music Show. This evening, we are featuring the music of Maxwell Cranford. Welcome to the show, Maxwell.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and it's very fortunate that we were able to catch you because I know that you're actually returning back to the West Coast in a few days. So it's nice that we can get you in here before you leave, and hopefully we can get this episode on the air sometime in the near future. We'll let you know when it goes to air.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is a great opportunity for me, and I appreciate you having me here.
No problem. So let's start with a question just so our listeners and those of the studio audience who may not know who you are and what you do, why don't you tell us a little bit more about, or why don't you tell us a little bit why you started playing and performing? How did you start playing and performing?
Well, I got my first guitar when I was about 13 years old, and my father always played, campfire tunes around the fire when I was a kid, and I always kind of, I was brought up in a musical background. My childhood memories are kind of like, radio being played in the car with my mother, when I was younger. So I just always kind of had music in my life. And then I didn't really start performing till I moved out west, and just kind of started going to these open mic jam nights in this town that I live in now, Ucluit, BC. And just kind of started meeting everyone there. And from that, I kind of built up some confidence and put a band together. And now we play shows about a few a month. So it's a lot of fun. That's great. So you currently are playing in a band. And what is the name of your band? We are called the Barclay Sounds.
Barclay Sounds. So I think you have a couple tracks from them, which we'll play a little bit later in the show. And some of your live stuff that you're doing tonight, would those be Barclay songs, or are these songs that are ones that you've written and not part of their catalog?
Yeah, I mean, I've written all the music for the band as well. But it's all music that I've originally played with the band. So it's going to be the new little thing for me tonight to see how it goes, just kind of playing on my own, playing some of these songs with just one guitar. So it's pretty exciting. That's excellent. Well, we're glad that you get to sort of debut this with us. I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you introduce us to the first song that you're going to play, and I'll let you just go right from introduction to playing. Cool. Yeah, for sure. This first song is called Hypnotized. When I first started writing music, I was still really into the blues, and I still am. It's just, it was really, really blues roots. And this song's obviously just written about a girl and how they can just, wrap you around their fingers sometimes, and you just have no control, and you just sit right by their side no matter what. So that's what this song's about. So I'll just get playing for you here. You're just like the rest of them, but you ain't ever gonna be the best of them. Oh, I can see it in your eyes, it ain't no surprise. Oh yeah, pretty mama, oh, I guess you got me hypnotized. You're the one I'll always remember, and I always try to forget. I'm a nice guy, baby. you ain't seen nothing yet. Still I'm right by your side, yeah. Well, I guess you got me hypnotized.
That was Hypnotized by Maxwell Cranford. So you're living in BC right now. You said, where did you say you were living in BC?
It's on Vancouver Island. It's a little town called Ucluelet. It's right next to Tofino, I guess, more or less. It's right on the west coast of the island, right on the ocean. I love it.
Okay, and you said when you got out to British Columbia, that's when you got more into performing and playing music. I guess I'm wondering, when you're not playing music and you're not performing, what are you doing out there? Is music your full-time profession, or are there other things that you do in addition to that?
I'm working on making music my full-time profession, but it's not there quite yet. But I manage a hostel there, and I also work at a surf shop in town. So that keeps me pretty busy, and as well I surf as often as possible. So between that and music, that pretty much takes up most of my time.
That's excellent. And when you're home, did you get a chance to get any surfing in while you were home, or?
Yeah, kind of. Yes, you could call it, if you could call it surfing. We went out to Western Head, and we went out in the water. It was a little small that day, but we tried. We made the best of it.
And you, in reading your bio, it said that you described your music, and hopefully I'm going to sell this the way that you kind of put it in your bio. It says that it's funk and roll blues.
Yeah,
is that correct? So I'd be curious to know who your roots and influences are, and you can comment on this from either speaking from like a genre of music that you like, a band that you like, or an album that's really influenced you. What sort of drives your creativity and your music?
There's lots of music. I mean, I love all the oldies and all the classics. I mean, blues is still is huge for me, but I listen to tons of new music as well. I like a bit of everything. But it's really both the lyrics. I mean, that really get me. The people like Tom Waits and I really like newer band with Brian Jones, Sound Massacre. They're great as well. It's just there's so many bands that have influenced me. I love the Stones, CCR, Muddy Waters, BB King. Like, I mean, I could go on and on about different musicians that they've just affected me and definitely have influenced me in different ways in the way I want to write my music, for sure.
If you could remember back in time, what would you say the first band or the first music that you were drawn to, or that you really remember, and maybe you thought, I'd really like to create something as well when you heard it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Kind of for me, I mean, my first memories of music would definitely be the Stones, because it's just what I would hear in the car as a kid on the radio, and they just had these tunes that everybody wanted to dance to, and there's just so much music, right? And there's just longevity in how they've lasted for so long and still just rocking out. That was really a big inspiration for me, for sure. And they just keep pumping out good music. I mean, they put a new album out just recently, I think, and it's a great album. So they're a big influence for me, and I think they would probably be the first memories of music for me as well.
Well, now that we've talked a little bit about other music and what music inspires you, how about you introduce us to your next song and tell us a little bit about it, and then let us have a sample of it.
Yeah, this song's called "What's Wrong." It's one of the more recent ones I've written, and I've never really played it with just myself without the band. This is definitely one I normally play with the band, so it's gonna be a little interesting. But we just wanted to make kind of a simple, kind of dancey song that everybody could kind of get into. So it's just yeah, we'll start playing here for you, and you guys can see what you think. Find a dog and you give her a bone. Now she never leaves you alone. Before you did it, you knew wasn't right, so what's wrong? So what's wrong? Wanna drink, better make it a double, 'cause all this thinking's gonna get me in trouble. They say slow down, but I'm too far gone, so what's wrong? So what's wrong? It sure would be nice to see ya. Wouldn't wanna be ya. You say you know me neither. You got your problems, but I got my own. So what's wrong? 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 So what's wrong?
Thanks for that, Maxwell.
No problem.
And something listeners at home might be hearing, well, hopefully they're hearing your electric guitar, and it's a pretty unique instrument. I've not quite seen an electric guitar in the style that you have. Do you want us to tell us a little bit about that instrument, maybe describe it for the people at home who can't see it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, kind of like semi-acoustic, semi-electric guitar. It's got a Telecaster body, but then it's got an acoustic bridge and acoustic strings, and it's a Washburn, and it's my stepdad's, and I've just kind of been diddling with this pretty much the whole time I've been home, and I really like this guitar, and he won't let me take it, so I figured I should take advantage and play it tonight.
I was just about to ask you if he was going to let you take it back with you or not, but
Not a chance.
Guess we know the answer to that. We're coming up on a commercial break here, but before we head to that, I wanted to sort of touch again on, you had mentioned that you played you play in a band called the Barclay Sounds out in BC, and I wanted to know a little bit how you got together with the members of that band, who's in the band, and how did that all come about?
Yeah, well, like I was talking about before, with starting off at those jam nights out on the West Coast, it was just open mic. We'd all get up, and whoever kind of wanted to play, we would just kind of trade off instruments and play some songs, whatever we kind of wanted to play. And from there, that's where I started meeting everyone that's in my band now. And I first met my drummer Andy, who's a good friend of mine. We're all really tight, which is a good thing too. So we can kind of tell each other what to do when we're not too stoked on each other at the time. And we just started as a two-piece, and then we met Jeff, who moved into town, and then we added another guitar player. And then one of my best friends, Tom, he broke his thumb, and we told him for rehab he has to learn how to play bass. So then he just started to play bass, and now we have a bass player. And then the fifth member was Ian, and he is a really good keys player, but he also does a lot of the recording for us as well. He's just a very talented individual.
Excellent. And you had mentioned before we started taping the show that you just received some recordings back. Are you currently working on an album right now?
Yeah, we currently are working on our first kind of full-length proper album, and we bought all the gear ourselves to do most of the recording, which has been a fun process and quite a learning process for us. And yeah, I just kind of received some of the rough tracks today, and we still need to do some work, but they're coming along quite well, and I'm pretty excited to get back there and start working on it again for sure.
We're going to have to cut to commercial now, so we will be back with Maxwell Cranford on the Conquerall Mills Music Show after these commercial messages.
This old mound don't look the same anymore, and that ocean seems strange. They say this town ain't big enough for them no more, and sometimes I think the same. Seasons come and go, rain and snow, down the river below. So I hop my automobile, see how I feel behind that wheel. I never knew it feel so good, so we just drove to see how far we could. Seasons come and go, rain and snow, down the river below. Said, where would you go if you wanted to leave? I said, I don't know, we just have to wait and see. Seasons come and go, rain and snow, down the river below.
So that was Rain, Sun, and Snow by the Barkley Sounds, and we're chatting with Maxwell Cranford, who is part of that project. And I understand that you do a lot of the writing with the band. I'm not going to say for the band. Are you a principal songwriter? Do you all contribute ideas, or is it two people sort of lead and then everyone adds their flavor to it?
We definitely all contribute to the music for sure. I usually just kind of, I'll come to a jam with maybe some lyrics or some stuff like that, but not so much with the riff or anything else. And we'll kind of just start working on things together. And I find that's when we've made some of our best stuff, is when we're all just kind of like feeding off each other and kind of giving each other ideas of what we should do and what will work and what won't work. So that's kind of the process. But am one of the main writers. But I'm always open for them to be writing music as well too, and some of them have some really great ideas, and they're all very talented.
In terms of where you draw inspiration from, where does that come from for your music? I know we talked a little bit earlier about roots and influences, but when you're writing music, when you're composing music, what's going through your head when you're doing that? Are you drawing on more realistic, real life situations, or more abstract things, a combination of both? Where are you coming from with that?
most of my music is definitely written through experience and maybe things that I've seen, things that I've heard, maybe even something that is just kind of happening in the world today. It's just all kind of, I usually kind of write around what I see and through experiences that I've experienced in my life. But then there's obviously always those random songs that come in that are just kind of like, stories, stories that you always want to tell, but you've never really, have the balls to maybe do that story yourself, follow through on that, so you just can write about it,
Yes.
And so it's really, there's lots of different interesting ways. If you go to my house, you'll just see a bunch of sticky notes everywhere, because I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have something and I'll write it down instantly, and maybe it's just a line or maybe it's a paragraph, but there's sticky notes littered around my house because it's just kind of that's kind of my process of writing music.
You must have been reading my mind, because my next question was going to segue into lyric writing. Personally, for me, I do play, but I don't do what you do, play out in public. It's more something for myself. I have tried to quote unquote craft songs in the past, and anytime that it came to writing lyrics, to me, my lyrics come back and read back like bad grade 3 poetry. And I'm just wondering, when you're writing lyrics, and so you said that you have ideas and you just randomly write them down as they sort of pop into your head. Mm-hmm. In terms of how you feel with those lyrics, once you write them down, do they usually stay in that form, or do you go and start picking things apart and trying to change that initial idea, or what do you do there?
Yeah, sometimes I'll write down a line and I won't even touch it again for months, and then one day I'll be in the mood of writing lyrics again, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh yeah, I've got this sticky note here, and then I'll kind of bring it back, and maybe I'll use that exact lyric, but maybe I'll change it a bit. And then sometimes, it's just a line, but then sometimes I'll start writing and then I'll write out 2-3 songs, and it's all very, it depends on the mood I'm in, I guess, and where I'm at in my headspace. And sometimes it just flows right out onto the paper, but then other times I will be piecing together certain things, and all of a sudden I'll be like, oh yeah, this, I wrote this then, and then I wrote this a different time, but they're kind of like, it kind of comes together and makes sense. So then I'll do that. It's kind of a different way of writing music, but I'm usually I write the lyrics before I write a riff, kind of thing.
Okay, and so for the upcoming Barkley Sounds album, which you're working on, can you describe the writing process, I guess, for that? How you went about doing that? Is it a collection of things from over the years, or things that you decided once the project was sort of green lighted that you were going to write material specifically for that? How does that work?
Yeah, for the album, it was definitely kind of just picking some of the songs that I guess all of us enjoyed playing the most, because I've been writing music for a long time, and I've got close to 30 songs written, I guess, and it's just we never recorded. We just always play the music live, right, and just kind of do shows and things like that, and then we just kept playing and playing, and they were like, well, we've been putting off this recording thing for so long, maybe we should do it. And we've just kind of got comfortable with our music at this point, and we just kind of picked the ones that we were really enjoying. And I also did write some newer songs, but there wasn't like any specific, like it wasn't like a concept album or anything like that. It was more just, these are all songs that I've written over the years, and now that we've played for a number of years and we're comfortable together, we feel comfortable enough to actually go and record these songs now.
All right, well then, why don't we go back and we'll kind of switch gears a little bit, and we'll get you maybe to play us something else. Do you want to pick a song for us, introduce it, and play it for us?
Yeah, I think the next one we had up here was No Problems, which is another one of the more recent songs we've written. And this is with the last song I played, What's Wrong, and this one, No Problem. This was kind of a time when I was just kind of wanting to branch off from not doing completely, just blues songs, which is really what we were into, which I have nothing against the blues. I love the blues. It's just I kind of wanted to start maybe trying something different, and I wanted to keep pushing myself, right? Because I mean, as any, you know, as a musician, you understand that you always want to keep pushing yourself to become better. So this next song's called No Problem. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Got a problem, you better take it up with someone who cares about it, 'cause I don't ever want none. If this is a part of growing up, then I want no part of it. I'd rather stay a child forever than deal with all this shit. Cut off all my hair, change the clothes I wear. Nothing stays the same, I'll change my name and I'll go so far away. Oh, I go so far away, yeah. Oh, it would be so smooth, yeah, yeah. No, no. You got a rumor, just like butter, it's gonna spread. Small town humor, don't let those stories go to your head. 'Cause maybe one day those tables gonna turn. And where will you go once all your bridges have burned? Start another life, this time you get it right. Gotta get away, no need to stay, and you just be who you wanna be. You just be who you wanna be, baby, yeah. So smooth.
That was No Problems by Maxwell Cranford. We're going to take a short break for commercials, and we'll be back to finish chatting with Maxwell after these commercial messages. Welcome back to our listeners. You are listening to the Conquerall Mills Music Show, where tonight our performer is Maxwell Cranford. Before the break, we had taken a listen to
No Problem.
No Problem, which is apparently a huge problem for me to say, considering I had to try this several times to get it out. You're in the process of working on your album. I want to know a little bit more about the recording process. How did you go about recording that? Because where I'm a recording studio, I'm always interested how people record their music, and I'd like to hear this from you.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's something we were always just kind of talking about, but then never really took much action on. But we decided to kind of buy all the gear ourselves and just go for it ourselves. And the key player, Ian, he kind of does a lot. He's had a lot of experience with this, and he works a lot with the recording studio that's in town. So he decided that he was keen to kind of record us. So we bought some drum mics and, you know, a bunch of other mics and then a mixer and a bunch of gear. You know how it is, just buying gear and getting everything ready.
Once
for
you
recording.
start, you can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. And we decided just to kind of go do the kind of, you know, scratch track live off the floor and just try to get it as tight as we could rather than doing a click track, because it just kind of, we find we kind of lost our vibe when we were doing it to a click track, as opposed to if you're playing with a full band, you kind of, when you're really a live band kind of band, you know, I find like going off the floor and everyone playing together, you kind of get a different vibe than if you're just always going by a click track.
So you went whole hog, so to speak, in that you did everything. You recorded everyone in the band at the same time, live off the floor. You didn't just start with your drums and your bass and work your way off that, or
yeah, we started with pretty much everything. And don't get me wrong, we did a lot of the tracks over top of that. But we just felt like when we were all playing together, we've got that vibe from the drums, because we really just would take the drums from the first take that we would do together. But then we would kind of all start doing our own parts. It's basically just having a scratch track there, right? And then we would kind of go over our own parts and do them again. And that's kind of been the process, and just trying to get everything as tight as possible. But we found that when we were all playing together on the first track, we could get that drum feel. It just sounded more natural than if it was just kind of him and the bass just trying to start it off. It just wasn't really working for us like that. So it just worked better with all of us kind of going together.
Yeah, and it usually does lend to a little bit more of a complete sound, I guess, or you get that factor of, I guess, groove, the inquantifiable, indefinable characteristic of music, and you do tend to lose that when you're listening to a very rigid sort of counting device, a digital timing device, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we're pretty nitpicky, so we keep going back and redoing our parts. I mean, the drums are really the only ones that stick. And that was what we were always trying to get, was make sure that the drums had the tightest track possible every time we'd kind of play through. And then from there, if one of us wasn't happy with the guitar or the bass or something, we could just kind of go in and do it again. But we really wanted to make sure we just had those drums on tight, and that we were all happy with our own parts, because, you know, everyone's their toughest critic, right? So
I'd like to actually play another one of the pre-recorded songs that you brought, and I'm going to maybe leave this one up to you. Why don't you tell us which one of those you would like me to play, and maybe give us a little setup on the song?
Yeah, I believe the next one on that is "Don't You Feel Like Dancing," and that was just a song that one night we were like, okay, let's just, you know, make this super cheesy, super hilarious kind of, you know, danceable song that, you know, is just going to get everybody going, you know, because we're a bar band, and we just want people to dance and have a good time when we play music. And this song was basically that, you know, it's just, we just want people to dance and have a good time. So
yeah. Well, let's take a listen to "Don't You Feel Like Dancing" by the Berkeley Sounds.
Radio the other day, when my favorite song came on to play. Well, I sang it loud, I sang it proud. There was no other way, no. Then my friend, she looked over to me. Oh yeah, she said, don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing? Well, I was down at the record store. A groovy song came on I never heard before. Well, it got me aching, it got me shaking. I wanna get up on that dance floor, well. Then I walked over to the sassy little lass here. I looked her in the eye and I said, don't you feel like dancing? while I was down at the club. Top 100 hits were playing, I was kinda bored. Then an angel, she came down from above, and to my surprise, she floated right on down to me. She whispered in my ear, don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing?
And that was Do You Feel Like Dancing by the Barkley Sounds. And as we were listening to this track in the studio, one of our very astute audience members asked a very poignant question, which I probably should have figured out on my own, but I'm going to repeat the question because it's worth asking. How did you guys come up with the name, the Barkley Sounds?
Well, yeah, where we live on Vancouver Island, they don't really call them bays there, they call them sounds. So the town we live in is on the Barkley Sound. And then the next town, Tofino, is in Clackwood Sound, and so on Nootka Sound and Heshkreet Sound. So then we just decided to call ourselves the Barkley Sounds because that's where we lived, and it just seemed appropriate, and it kind of, had that double meaning, because, Barky sound that we try to hit, when we play music. So it just kind of seemed to work, and it stuck, and yeah, that's how we got the band name.
And when we're listening back to those pre-recorded tracks by the Barkley Sounds, obviously you were singing and you do a lot of the writing for the band. I'm wondering, what other hidden talents do you have? Do you play any other instruments for the purposes of doing these albums? Do you do any sort of, I guess, other instrumental work on the album, or is it just singing and just guitar?
Yeah, it's pretty much just singing and guitar. I've always kind of, I love to play bass and drums, but I'm not very good at it. So it's something I love to play. I love to play as many instruments as possible, but that's kind of why when I wanted to be able to build a band with my friends and people, that's kind of why we have 5 people, because I just wanted as many instruments as possible in it to make it a full sound and create a pretty unique wall of sound, but they're all very talented, so I basically just stick to the guitars and the vocals for sure. Okay, and you have one more pre-recorded song that you brought in with us, and since we're kind of wrapping up talking about the album, I feel this is probably a good spot to put that in. So the last one you brought for us is... Oh yeah, it's called Huevos Rancheros, and the name of the song has nothing to do with what the song's about. It's just, what ridiculous name that we came up with one night when we were all together for the song because we couldn't come up with another name. And in brackets, it's called Evils Everywhere because it's kind of a bit more about that. And it's definitely our longest song that we've ever written as well too. We got pretty ambitious with what we wanted to do with this song, and yeah, I don't know. You guys can listen to it and see what you think about it. All right, well, let's have a listen to Huevos Rancheros by the Barkley Sounds on the Conquerall Mills Music Show. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The whole gonna flame, and we're the ones to blame. We did this to ourselves. But don't the money smell nice? But the money don't care. There's evil. There's evil everywhere. A new life. Or have another turn. Might as well start the fire. We're all living to be burned. You've been a good boy so long. And then you find out it's wrong. You can't say it ain't fair, no. 'Cause there's evil. There's evil everywhere. So your heart's broken. Well, that's nothing new. Living life like it's our own movie. Never take the time to walk in someone else's shoes. So what you got burned? Well, that's gonna leave 'em out. And people may stare. There's evil. There's evil everywhere. Burning like the sun in the sky. Oh, it's the sparkle, the glimmer in your eye. It's that lost love, another unpaid debt. It's that boss you hating on, girl. Another lost bet. You can't complain. You can't say it ain't fair. 'Cause like I said before, there's evil everywhere. You gotta know those feelings, girl. You gotta let it all out. Or you could sit there smiling, or you could scream and shout.
That was Huevos Rancheros by the Barkley Sounds, and we're getting near the end of the show, unfortunately. And so before we get to your last song and you introduce that for us, if people want to access music by Maxwell Cranford or the Barkley Sounds, where can they go to listen to that? Where can they track that down on the internet?
Yeah, right now, the only music we have up is on SoundCloud. And if you were to look up the Barkley Sounds on SoundCloud, you could find the 3 songs we have. But the album we're working on right now, hopefully it'll be done in the next month or 2. But I mean, you know how it is with albums, some things always come up and then you always want to change something. So I'm not 100% sure on that yet. But once that is finished, we will be putting that up on Bandcamp. And then we'll be starting up a proper Bandcamp account and everything. And then everything will be available on Bandcamp.
Okay, and to anyone who's listening at home, before the show airs, I'll make sure that I put a link up to the Barkley Sounds SoundCloud so people can listen to more songs afterwards if they so desire.
For sure as well, and then for any upcoming shows, like we have a Facebook page, so that seems to kind of be the way that we post where any shows coming up, anything that's happening, any new songs. So that's the best way to keep track of where you guys are and what you're doing. It seems that that's where everybody's at these days. So I mean, that's the easiest way for us to get a hold of everybody is just by posting on there. So yeah.
Well, that is absolutely great. I want to thank you again for coming out. And what song are you going to play for us last?
The last song is a song called Mystery Queen, it's a pretty funny song. I wrote it about this girl that I met one night at a music festival, and then we were having the best night of our lives. And you know how it is, like things happen, and all of a sudden you're separated, and then I never saw her again. And it was just like, it was a really good night, and I always remember that night as one of the best nights I've had. And I just kind of wrote this song about that. Like who knows what could happen if I could have ended up hanging out with that girl and getting to know her, but it's just going to be a mystery, I guess. So I'm going to play this one for you guys. Well, I've been going down the same road as you now for far too long. We was fine till we hit that fork in the road, yeah, baby, that's where things are wrong. Well, I'm not saying you went the wrong way. Things ain't been the same since you left that day. My mystery queen, who knows how things could have been. Oh, I saw you from a mile away. You candy apple eyes, yeah, they convinced me to stay. Oh, I was looking for an hour or so, but you had me going anywhere you wanted me to go, mama. I'm not saying that you had me there, but it wasn't fair. My mystery queen, who knows how things could have been. We were headed down to the bar, but let me tell you, girl, we didn't make it too far, yeah. Got a little too high, I should have been crawling, but oh, pretty baby, I was trying to fly. Didn't see you again that night, oh yeah, was out of sight. My mystery queen, Who knows how things gonna bend?
That was Maxwell Cranford and Mystery Queen. I would like to thank our live studio audience for coming to the show tonight, and a huge thank you to Maxwell for coming to play for us this evening. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for putting in all the hard work to make this possible. It's much appreciated.
No problem, and safe travels back to BC.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a fun one.
I am your host, Stephen Ramey, and you are listening to the Conquerall Mills Music Show. Well, folks, that is our show for the evening. Tune in next week when I will be featuring a performance by the local contemporary jazz and fusion band, Full House. The Conquerall Mills Music Show is hosted, produced, and mixed by Stephen Ramey at Conquerall Music, and our engineer in the control room for this evening's episode was Adam Fancy. If you are interested in being featured on the show, or you wish to participate in our studio audience, please call 902-530-3730 or message us on Facebook at the Conquerall Mills Music Show. To hear previous episodes, please visit our YouTube channel at Conquerall Music. Stay tuned for Time Machine with Bob McDonald at 9 p.m. Thanks for listening to the Conquerall Mills Music Show on 88.7 CKVE Cove FM and online at covefm.com. Have a good evening.